Don't undo my hard work with poor sportsmanship.
Respect. It's the name of the game.
Coach of the Year, Administrator of the Year, All-America Team, Wade Trophy. The WBCA doesn't just honor coaches, but players, administrators, and much more. The WBCA strives to honor those who have contributed to the advancement of women's basketball. Celebrate the present, honor the past, look to the future.
Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. Apparently Mike was open for half that break again. Sorry about that. Thanks to those who let me know. Hopefully I didn't say anything I shouldn't have said. I know you heard me talking to NYU's guests as they come online. We will be talking to the men's national champs here coming up in a bit. And don't forget, Jostens Trophy winners will be joining us on the program a little bit later. But first, let's talk about the undefeated NYU women's basketball team joining the Wisconsin River Falls women's ice hockey team of pulling off the undefeated season. River Falls had the advantage they could do it at home. NYU had to hit the road to go to Columbus, Ohio to get that accomplished. They did so in pretty good fashion. Joining us on the Hoopsville Hotline to talk about it, it is the head coach of the Violets, Meg Barber, and her graduate transfer guard, Megan Bauman. Megan, thanks for screwing around with me, Coach. My brain's checked out, and I think you're taking advantage of it. Welcome to the show, and congrats.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We should point out, by the way, that Megan Bauman's joining us from spring break, so tip of the hat to you on finding some time to join us when you have clearly better things to do. But I am dying to know, where are you?
I'm in Chicago. Shout out to the Fahey family, one of my teammates. I'm in Chicago and then going to Nashville later this week with some teammates too.
Very nice. Just for the record, I'm from Chicago. This is a perfect choice. You should just stay there. Don't worry about Nashville. Microphone's off for everybody else. I did see, by the way, on the way back, that it wasn't easy getting through security with a national trophy replica. Now, the regular one, I am assuming, was fine, but security, apparently everybody was having trouble. Coach, we'll start with you. Whose was that? I couldn't figure out whose trophy was getting swabbed.
It was Bauman's, actually. So you have
Bauman's, it was yours.
You have the right guest on.
This is perfect. Yeah, so let's get the lowdown. I want to that's where we're starting. I want to find out, how in the world do they decide your trophy needs a little extra scrutiny?
I don't know. I was going through, I have TSA free, was going through, and the agent was like looking at the screen like, oh, like, what's that object? And then they pulled my bag, and the TSA agent was hilarious about it because we were all joking like, oh, we're like the national champions. And he like opened the watch. We got a watch too, and was opening it and swabbing everything. It was pretty funny.
I'm showing quickly. I know, and we can only see Bauman right now because I'm showing the replica is behind her, so you get a sense of what they look like. Well done, by the way. Well done with the mantle there. Hats off to you on the dressing of the set. But yeah, I heard someone in the background go, but it's a national champ. It's her trophy. Come on, what are we doing here? And the guy looked a little sheepish at first before I guess it clicked what he was doing. And Coach, the big one got through okay, right?
The big one actually traveled via car, so it had no worries. It was a sold out flight, so it's a little heavy to put on your lap.
Something tells me you find a way to put that in your lap, but I know what you're saying. I should have figured out which car. I drove through Columbus on the way back. I took a different route. Thought of all you, but you guys were definitely gone by the time I got through there. Let's go back to what this was. Meg, I should say. Yeah, this isn't going to get confusing at all. Coach, I know this was the goal from the get-go. You wouldn't say it flat out, but I knew this was your goal. Whether you went undefeated or not, I don't know if that was part of this. But you get two incredible transfers, including apparently this lady named Megan Bauman and another in Morrison. And I think the writing was on the wall. But doesn't that put a lot more pressure? So at what point did you start really feeling that pressure?
Like pretty much as soon as Morgan and Bauman said yes, because I knew the core group that we had returning, Natalie Bruns, Belle Plecchia, Erica Miller at that point, multi-year starter, Carolyn Pepper, fantastic freshmen that we knew were coming in, but to get the experience of, an NCAA tournament point guard, of Bauman's ability, playmaker, I felt like, she was kind of the piece that was going to be able to bring all the talent together, and obviously Morgan, coming in with all the accolades that she had as well. So, I know for myself, I felt a lot of pressure all year, just making sure that I stayed out of the players' way and also, did enough for them to, kind of help the cohesion of the group and allow them to accomplish what I clearly knew they were capable of accomplishing as a team. But like you said, you can be great on paper, but it was not the easiest task to kind of get us rolling. And I think we really didn't hit our stride until, we kind of got into UAA play, the level of competition, being on the road for some of those longer road trips and things like that picked up. And we were able to kind of, create a new identity of this team as opposed to, kind of being like a returning NYU team with transfers. I think that was probably a big turning point for us.
Yeah, and the UAA's thrilled that you caught your stride just when you caught them. I could tell that you guys used them pretty judiciously for most of the way. Bauman, from your perspective, coming in, knowing how good this team was, did you feel the pressure too as the season rolled along to accomplish what clearly was the mission?
Not so much pressure, just like, wow, we have so much talent. And it was not even just myself and Morgan, but like the freshmen that we have that came in are really talented. And some of them didn't get to play as much this year, but they contribute a lot to the team. And in future years, I won't be surprised to see them be very successful. But again, like Coach said, on paper, we probably should have been where we ended up being, but putting those pieces together, you see a lot of super teams, quote unquote, that don't do it because they can't put the pieces together. And I think that it's just a testament to the girls that we have on our team and the program that the coaches have built, that the selfless players put egos behind them and kind of were fighting for one goal.
That's the key. It's about putting those egos behind you and knowing what the bigger mission was. We kind of talked about that a couple times when we had you guys on the show, whether it was at the beginning when the transfers were coming in or we talked to you late when Plecchia and Bruns were on the show talking about those aspects. You do have to put your egos to the door. That said, I thought you really had a fascinating challenge in the Final Four. Bauman, I'll start with you. You had a Transylvania squad who clearly was on a mission, felt a little bit slighted maybe that you'd been number one most of the season, felt that they deserved that championship, and that was nip and tuck at the first. Second quarter, you guys pulled away, and then I thought the second half, it seemed like it still got tight again. I know the score may not have been indicative of that, but they gave you a fight, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. The game felt closer than the score looked. We didn't expect that Transylvania wasn't going to put up a fight. They've won a ton of games. They had won a ton of games straight for a reason. And just what they bring is something different than other teams and the different defenses they play. So it's something that we don't see often. So you have to prepare for it. But we prepared for it all week. And I think that we gained confidence in what our ability was against zone throughout the entire week.
That was certainly a big factor in getting past them. That's almost a championship because it's the other undefeated. It's the other number two, but you got to play this other game. Meg, Smith blew me away. I mean, we knew they were good, but they were probably better than many anticipated. And, you know, it starts with Ruffner, of course. I think she was a tremendous talent. And they had Rose, I can never say her name right, the center inside, who unfortunately fouled out against you guys. But Smith Hersey also seemed to have a good strategy. They never wilted with you guys. 2 points at halftime after scoring 6 straight. That was a heck of a battle in the final game.
Yeah, I mean, it was an incredible championship game. I thought the Smith players, Lynn, incredible game plan. And again, as Bauman alluded, with Transylvania and Julie, it's expected. These are national coaches of the year for a reason. And I thought, Ruffner's stats had almost no bearing on our game plan. Her NCAA tournament stats were like through the roof. She was averaging close to 25, 26 points per game. The ball was in her hands 80% of, their successful possessions. So, one of the, I think, biggest keys for us was knowing that her matchup was Natalie Bruns, and, knowing that obviously surrounding Bruns, our team defense has been just phenomenal all year. So I think part of it too was we really had not worked on man offense in probably about a week and a half. We were kind of expecting Hardin, Simmons, and Scranton also to zone us, just with some of the strengths that we had against them. And obviously heading into Transylvania, knowing it was going to be a one-game battle at a time, we solely worked on prep for Transylvania. So we kind of very quickly shifted gears, one day before the national championship to get back into our flow. And I think that was evident in just, we were a little bit stagnant offensively, and also credit to Smith's transition defense. They don't crash the boards as much offensively, but, we really did not go on many runs in transition either. So it was a great test. And I think the same thing as the Transylvania game. We won by 10, but it felt like, a 4 or 6 point game. Yeah.
I mean, that Smith team was, it felt within a couple of points, or two possessions at the very least, much of that second half. The 10 points didn't really feel indicative of that finish, right?
Yeah, I mean, one testament to our team too. I mean, we never relinquished the lead. I thought that was almost shocking with how close the game was for as long as it was close, and even a 6-0 run that didn't turn into an 8-0 run. We came out, we weren't great offensively the first couple possessions, but in the second half, but we kept getting stops. So definitely credit to our defense for just maintaining composure, and it definitely was a defensive minded game plan. And, I think it showed with the final score.
Yeah. I mean, saw the same darn thing on the men's side. Both Final Fours, it was about defense first. Offense can come second. Quick note, Natalie Bruns, Morgan Morrison, and Belle Pellecchia combined for 35 points of the 51 scored. Megan, when you've got three options like that you can distribute to, that you can kind of help run the ship and then help them how you need, that's got to be a dream.
Yeah, I mean, they make me look good and they make my job kind of easy. All I have to do is put them in a good position, and they're usually pretty successful at putting the ball in the hoop and getting up the floor, running in transition, specifically Bruns and Bell. And then just they're easy to find, and they know where my spots are, and they know how to play with me. So they really make me look good on the court.
Oh, they make a lot of people look good. Meg Barber, nothing against you. They're great to have as a coaching as well, right? Make you feel pretty smart.
Yeah, I mean, including this one that's on the call. She's a coach on the floor. So, I guess my job was easy this year.
Yeah, sure. Easy. Yeah, that was it. Couple of notes. First, Meg, I'm amazed you have a voice. Usually we get you after some major games. There's zero voice left. So I'm impressed you've got that. I'm curious from you too. What was it like for Morrison? Because it's got to be a bit bittersweet. You're in the title game. You transfer to NYU. You get this accomplished. But you missed out the year before. You got to the national semis with your alma mater in Smith. And guess who you have to face?
Yeah.
Anybody have to kind of talk her off a ledge?
So two things. One, I have my voice because the fans were so loud from Smith and NYU that it was like pointless to even yell, because no one, usually the team doesn't hear me anyway, but they literally weren't even like pretending to not hear me. So I just kind of stopped yelling. We were using a whiteboard for a lot of our communication, just holding it up. The Morgan piece is like almost, just now reflecting on it, like stunning. I mean, you couldn't write, it seems like a Lifetime movie, like a bad, sad, like, just in terms of, she just has so much love for Smith and for her teammates and that program. So, this decision for her to come here was all about her, graduate education. And obviously she had two midterms on Friday, the day in between the two games. So, that had every element of, kind of why she's with us. And, to meet Smith, I mean, we saw him on the other side of the bracket. We were thrilled because our staff was sort of like, is this a possible Elite Eight matchup? Somehow with this team, with where we thought maybe they would fall, and just knowing that would be tough for Morgan. So when we alluded that, to then meet on the biggest stage in the national championship was just, again, somewhat shocking. Our interim AD, Jason Pina, he, like, when the Final Four came out, he's like, you're going to beat Transylvania and play Smith for the national title. I was like, I don't know about that, but lo and behold, it did happen. It was, I think, a lot more emotional for Morgan than she would let on. And our staff did, multiple times check in with her. Obviously, her family being there as a big support network for her, meant a lot. But I've told people over and over, she's one of the most professional student athletes I've ever worked with. I mean, she just, like, goes to work. She is very professional in her mindset, taking care of herself. And I will say, if there's an obstacle in front of that woman, she is looking to run through a brick wall to accomplish it. So her goal. So Smith, in its own way, I think, was sort of like that brick wall. And as hard as it was for her, I think she saw it as, this is what I have to go through to, reach the team goal of winning a national championship. So I'm going to put that aside. But obviously, I'd be crazy to think it wasn't going to affect her. And, she still managed, I'm looking at the stat, she almost had a double. She did have a double, almost, one rebound shy. So it was like a very typical game for her. But obviously, yeah, the emotions were high.
There was a part of us watching from afar wondering if she was going to rip off her NYU jersey, slam on the Smith one, and go, psych! And just switch sides.
Maybe if Smith won it, she would have flipped and joined. But
Megan, to some degree, it's also a little twist for you too, Megan, because you're playing a former NUMAC opponent coming from Babson. Like this, the fact that you two ended up at NYU obviously was a big storyline, but the fact that you end up facing them as well, that's got to be a little bit kind of on the oddity side.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I've seen Smith cut too many nets down on their home court. In 2 conference finals, they beat us, and I mean, it obviously felt really good, because it's even on a bigger stage. They're a great team, and they showed that, I think, and just the way that they play so hard and have that edge to them. Every single one of their players, I think, is why they've been successful over the past several years. So, like, tip of the hat to them. I don't think that we played our best, like Coach said, offensive game. We didn't shoot the ball as well as we normally do, I think. But all that matters is that we came out on top.
Yeah, pretty impressive. Again, undefeated, national title, with everything going on in terms of the dynamics of the team. It wasn't like it was cut and dry. You added these other elements like Bauman and Morrison. You have to readjust. Everybody checks their ego clearly at the door, and it works out. Megan, from your perspective, have you had a chance to have this soak in? I know you're with teammates. You'll be with more teammates later. But do you realize what you all accomplished, not only win a national title, but getting through what might have been one of the deepest Division III women's brackets we've ever seen?
Yeah, I think, honestly, our road to the championship game was probably the hardest that it could have been. And I don't think that anyone on our team would have wanted it any easier. I think that we wanted to prove ourselves. And to the second part, I don't think it's set in yet. I think I've been watching videos, seeing pictures, like getting texts, calls, like a bunch still, and just watched the replay of our celebration, which was fun. But I still don't think it has set in. And I think it might take until we get back to school and kind of are back together as a team to set in and kind of see the reality of it.
Yeah, I can understand that entirely. Meg, from your perspective, I know, again, it's early, but you put this program, you already put this program back in the national conversation, but you finally had accomplished what I know was kind of on the list for a while. You get this national title. Has it sunk in what you've been able to do for NYU and what is a storied athletics department?
I mean, obviously being an alum and, the alumni network that supported us, we call, the whole chain of all the years and years of alums of sisterhood. They were loud and proud in the stands behind us and, both near and far via text. So, and I received an email from someone who played on the 1954-55 team after we won it, who's 90 years old. And it's so that part of it, and hearing from people, who are associated with the program and associated with NYU, has been, by far the biggest, way to kind of be like, wow, we really accomplished something for NYU and bringing this title home. But to Megan's point, it's almost like odd to look at the pictures and be like that. Like, I just wish the encore after, after celebration could have lasted longer, just because it felt like it was over in the blink of an eye. And the team going on spring break, it's just so weird. It's like very quiet. You just get home and it's like, what just happened? I was just like home doing laundry today. So, but I feel very at peace. I feel a sense of relief, personally as a coach, just because I know how hard this group worked all year for this. And I did think that they were deserving national champions should we have the opportunity to play for one. And so just for me, I think not having to wake up and watch film and, kind of not having the game planning, and in the quietness of this moment, it's just starting to sink in.
I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, perfectly timed spring break because it takes place after the team can celebrate, but poorly timed because, there's going to be this kind of wait until you really kind of celebrate the whole thing. By the way, Meg, Nancy Fay was in the building. She was one of the coaches for the All-Star team. By the way, coached that darn thing to the end. Gordon Mann talking about what she was doing at the end, still calling timeouts, trying to foul, trying to get her team to rally back. It's an All-Star game, Nancy. That said, Meg, little PTSD, seeing Nancy Fay in the building, you're probably thinking, hey, stay away.
Well, listen, I saw Nancy, and the moment our team bus arrived, I walked in and I was met at the door with people talking about Nancy coming back from 20 down in the All-Star game. I couldn't even get through the door as the head coach of the program playing in the national championship without hearing about Nancy Fahey. So I joked with her about that before the game and, just shared a moment with her talking about, playing against her. And, obviously they had the tremendous run when my whole career winning national championship after national championship. But the UAA family is really tight and supportive. She couldn't have been, more gracious in her time before the national championship with me, just giving me some advice. And, she talked about she said, I've never seen a team more dominant defensively than your team. She was at the Transylvania game the night before, or 2 nights before. So it was kind of a cool moment actually to see her before and get a chance to talk to her. It was a little bit calming. But I did hear that she, came back from down 20. So I asked her to leave Division III alone. And so we'll see if she holds that.
Yeah, it came from down and was calling timeouts and fouling down 6 with 5 seconds left. It's like, Nancy, come on.
Yeah, but she did win. So she knows how to do that.
Right? Crazy. I mean, and she apparently told Gordon she was just going to sit back and enjoy it.
No.
Competitive juice is fire. They're done. Meg, we don't know what the future is. Bruns has teased that she might be coming back. I think I know the answer to that. Megan, you got an extra year?
No, unfortunately.
I didn't think so. Meg, but you guys look good for next year, right?
Yeah, I mean, as Bauman said, we, our freshman group is incredibly talented, and a lot of people didn't get to see many of them this year. Although Maria Alvarado came on in the NCAA tournament to play, super important minutes after one of our backup post players went down. So, obviously returning, Bell and, the core group that we have coming back, we're excited for that. But honestly, I will take a long time before thinking about what we have next year and just take some time to enjoy what this team was able to accomplish.
Certainly, yeah. By the way, we're going to take another quick full screen of Megan Bauman because I'm spotted some things while we were talking. All right, full screen's up, If everyone's looking at the screen, on your right, I see the game ball, and I see a national championship hat, and next to that is the replica trophy. Then on the left side, I see the watch. That's the gold medallion box one. And I see the 50th anniversary sticker, and I see the team picture. Is that an Oscar of some kind, Bauman? What is going on extreme left of our camera frame? What is that?
It's my teammate MK, her brother's physics award.
Oh, so we make our physics awards look like the Academy Awards now, do we? Hey, listen.
Yeah, we gotta give Johnny a shout out.
We're all about Division III and being student athletes. So I applaud that that's an academic award. That is just freaking outstanding. But it did look like an Oscar. I was staring at that the whole interview going, what in the world? Hey, again, it's academics. Congrats. Hey, I got to let you all go. I know you have better things to do than yammer with me, but I appreciate the time you found for us to talk about the national title. Again, congratulations. Well done. As always, we give the guests the final word. We're going to go reverse. I usually lead with the coach. I'm going to leave the coach for last this time. I'm going to lead with the student athlete. Megan, any final thoughts for those who may be tuned in?
Well, first, thanks for having us on, but I'm just really grateful for my time at NYU and the players and families that I got to meet, and also Coach Barber, Coach Nettie, Coach Annie. Just really grateful for the whole experience, not just obviously winning the national championship, but just growing as a person and as a player. And that will all help me in my future.
Well said. Well said indeed. Coach.
I'm cheersing. I had a champagne, glass of champagne waiting for this interview to be over. But yeah, thanks, Dave. Obviously have a lot of fun coming on, and, your knowledge and what you've provided all year for viewers and coaches alike to get to know, these teams, and especially some of the top teams in the country has just been phenomenal. So we're happy to be a part of it. I think, our team had a target on our back and, all year, but I will say really appreciate the D3 coaches, fellow colleagues that have been reaching out since we won, whether they were foes and now, just congratulating us. It really means a lot. This profession can feel isolating at times, and I don't know that we're always the most well-liked when you're winning. It's sometimes hard, but I've heard from so many people, and I just want to thank the D3 coaching community for reaching out. It really means a lot.
Well deserved. Is the glass because the season's officially over, or you're finally done with me?
Both.
Well played, and I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah, it's actually because I'm done with Bauman. That is a true fact.
Brilliant, and appreciate the honesty. Hey, Congrats again. Your team will go down in the annals of lore of Division III, obviously. So congratulations, and of course for the NYU history as well. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy it. Enjoy the downtime, Coach. We'll look forward to catching up with you all down the road. Megan Bauman, whenever we can catch up, good luck with your post-graduate career. We'll look forward to hearing more about it in the future.
Thanks so much,
all right,
Dave.
thanks.
Take care. Megan Bauman, Meg Barber joining us here on the Hoopsville Hotline from the NYU Women's Championship team. When we come back, we'll pivot, talk Trine men's basketball. They're the champs on the men's side. We'll talk to their head coach and star player as well when we come back on Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com.
For the love of the game. But for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that, a lot more.
Sure, the game is important, but as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics, and in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
You can make a difference.
We are the coaches of women's basketball. We are leaders and teachers, dreamers and winners. We are professionals who conduct ourselves ethically and with integrity. We place the education, safety, and well-being of the athletes we coach above all else, and teach them the fundamental values they need to succeed in life. We are coaches united for the good of our game and those who play it. We are the WBCA.
Responsibility is being accountable for your words and actions, first and foremost. It also is an obligation to be a positive influence in the communities around you. Being in a D3 program, you're going to have lots of different opportunities. You're not just an athlete, you're also involved in student life. Your academics are extremely important. We give a lot of our student athletes responsibilities right from the start by giving them leadership opportunities, by having them engage in the community, be a positive influence. That's being a responsible person.
There are over 480,000 college athletes. Only 2% would go pro. That means over 470,000 will not get a shoe contract. No autographs. No private jets. No fan clubs. No Hall of Fame inductions. Instead, they will walk away with something much more valuable.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
I did receive a non-athletic scholarship upon entering school.
I got the presidential scholarship, which was huge for me.
I think there's more opportunities for academic scholarships in Division III.
I did receive academic scholarships. Just being involved on campus, being a leader, all those things combined kind of get me recognized. It's a great experience for me.
The National Association of Basketball Coaches is the nation's premier professional development and advocacy organization for basketball coaches at every level. The NABC strives to serve as the voice for coaches on national issues while advancing the core value of leadership, service, advocacy, education, and inclusion. To learn more about the NABC and to become a member, visit NABC.com and follow the NABC on social media at NABC1927. That's NABC.com or NABC1927 on social media.
For the love of the game, but for the...
Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody, as we continue to go along here with technically the season finale of Hoopsville. We are going to be doing some off-season stuff. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the program. Again, if you happen to be following along with Bob Quillman's tweets over the weekend, you might have gotten a hint of what we were doing. He snuck up on me at one point. Men's championship goes to a first-time tournament team, one who had never been in the tournament for the first time since 1991 and the third time in Division III history. We're not counting the very first tournament. That's cheating. But the 88 Ohio Wesleyan team, which interestingly enough, Coach Mike DeWitt was a player on. Not to date you, Coach, sorry. 1991 when Wisconsin Platteville got there and beat Hampden-Sydney. That was also the previous attendance record. Hampden-Sydney got back to help break the attendance record, but Trine had a lot to say about it too, as they got their first championship 40 minutes from their home floor in Angola. Joining us on the Hoopsville Hotline to talk about it, it is the head coach, Brooks Miller, and his star guard, Cortez Garland, joining us on the show. Gentlemen, first and foremost, have you been able to breathe and realize what you have accomplished?
I mean, it's been a surreal feeling. And I literally just talked to my mom. When you dream about winning a national championship, you picture this euphoric feeling that's like, okay, we did this great thing. We had that feeling, but it was just like more of a job done and kind of the expectation at that point. So I don't know, it's still kind of haven't set in fully for me yet.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll take a little while to truly matriculate, and even 20, 30 years down the road, it's going to probably hit you square in the face one day. Brooks, I know when you and I talked in the hotel lobby, I got the sense of just how much you've been trying to do to get your program over the hump. Not the hump of a national championship, but get into the postseason. Get an MIA title that gets you into the postseason. We'll talk more about that in a moment. And just some of the intricacies. Could you ever have imagined you were going to be able to put it all together in the first chance at the first bite of the apple, as it were?
Well, that's an interesting question because I'd never even thought about it that way. And I was asking the press conference the same thing. I think once we got in, we made a decision as a team that we had a choice just to be happy to be there, or are we going to push ourselves and really challenge each other to make sure we are at our best while we're playing? And we were honest with each other. I told them, hey, it's both. I'm ecstatic to be there, guys. I've never been there as a coach. I'm fired up. But I will tell you, we are going to push you harder than we've ever pushed you. We don't care about your feelings at this point. We are in the time of year where it is all about production and getting things done. And we're gonna grind it as hard as we can. And I think we just took it. I know it's coach's cliche, but really one opponent, one opportunity at a time. And how do we match up best with this team? What do we think we can, which one of our fundamentals do we think we really want to lock into? And when you have a leader like this, a guy that just is really in control of the group, it makes it a little bit easier and understanding that, okay, this is the new level. And with his experience, it really, worked out great.
You guys had two fascinating turns. Well, first off, all four teams had not left their home floor in the opening rounds of the tournament. That's never happened before. The fact that all four teams came out of the sectional as hosts, that's not happened since we've gone to the AQ in 2000, or at least gone, since the 2000 tournament. That's never happened before. So everyone was kind of coming in with this kind of never leaving their home floor. You guys being 40 minutes away, it almost felt like you were on your home floor still. And yet you had two really fascinating battles against two very different teams in this final weekend. But first, Brooks, talk to me about your crowd. I think a lot of people wondered, why build the MTI Center? Will they ever have a crowd big enough? I think we proved it this weekend. You need all that size, don't you?
Absolutely. And it's not the first time we've had these crowds. For the last 2 years, we've been in the top 5, I believe, in attendance in Division III. But we've had great teams. We were 22-4 last year. But there's a lot of things that go into that crowd. Our students, our faculty, our administration. And hey, come on over here real quick. And this guy right here is the best recruiter. Pop in here. This guy is the best recruiter of elementary students that you will ever find. This is my son, Champ. They're the ones underneath the basket. This is our free throw defense. Maybe the best coaching move we made all year was putting these guys underneath the basket. So we get the whole town of Angola, and we get them moving. So we're proud of them, and our guys do a great job. We're doing camps all the time in the community, not just in Angola, but Steuben County. And we were doing a radio show earlier today, and the radio guy who comes to all of our games, he says, man, you guys just really pass the ball so well. And I think what we really tried to do are do things people enjoy watching. And I think with our style of defense, which you saw this weekend live, we do so much switching and so much rotating that you really have to be connected and together. And offensively, really all we're geared into is side-to-side reversals, paint touches, play. And I think people really appreciate and value that. And when you got guys like Cortez that are playmakers like him, Magnanglo, who can block shots left and right, finish, well above the rim, and then guys like Aiden Smiley who just do some things that you've never seen done on a basketball floor for a guy you don't think can do them energy-wise. I think it's just a real fun team to watch and follow.
All right, Cortez, he says all the good stuff. Is it really true? Come on, it's a safe space. You can be honest with you. You're done. You got a national title. Is all he says accurate information, or is he just blowing smoke at us?
It actually might be an understatement, really. The support that we've had really all season, and like he said, the style of play we have both offensively and defensively is so attractive, and people really enjoy watching us play, and we enjoy really putting on the show for everybody that's coming out to watch.
Oh, you guys put on a show, that's for sure. By the way, I also noticed the kids, I think, have their own Twitter account. I think I caught wind of. Saw a picture of the trophy sitting in their room.
That's my wife's account. Yeah, we're proud.
Yeah, we know you posted on there, Coach. We know, we understand. You're trying to say it's your wife's. I know what the real truth is. I think the other interesting thing, by the way, the kids are well known. I was packing up stuff after the game, and I had these people yelling to somebody on the floor. I looked up, and it's your kids that are responding. I'm like, oh my goodness, they're their own stars. Cortez, I don't want to dwell on this, so let me get this out of the way now. You transferred in, coming from Albion, which obviously had a little bit of a rough go recently. You transfer in along with your brother Fred. You come into a program that's inter-conference, which always gets all of our attention, period. It doesn't matter where you transfer from. When you transfer in conference, it's always an interesting point. But why did you choose Trine in particular? Was it something that you all thought you could buy into, and was this what you thought you could get?
So to answer your first question, I mean, obviously, as a competitor, you kind of like get a sense of like how, obviously playing against the system and just seeing how they play basketball. Again, it's something that's very attractive. The style of play on defense, like the fast, up pace, switching and making reads, like that's my type of game. It's always been my type of game, obviously. And then prior to that, I had won Defensive Player of the Year, and then Trine was the best defensive team in the league for some years as I was at Albion. So the defensive part was interesting. I didn't know the whole insides and outs of it. Obviously, being inside, I know more about it, but it was something that I always admired and wanted to know more about on that end. So once after my senior year, which was in 22, I entered the transfer portal. Obviously, it was, like you said, a rough go over there. And Brooks was the first person to reach out to me, like out of everybody, like literally immediately was one of the first coaches to reach out. We talked, I met, came up here, and it was history after that. And it really just comes down to, like, even after this season, something I'm going to take with me, like, really for the rest of my life, is it's about the relationships. It's about the foundation that you build and the intangible things that you take outside of just playing the game. And when he, stressed that to me, it was, like I said, it was a no-brainer. And made the decision. He told me, like, the supporting cast and his vision for how the team would be ran, and I trusted it, and now we're here.
Really, he called you because he didn't want to have to figure out a game plan against you and your brother anymore. Was the simple thing. He's like, I'm getting these boys here because I can't handle this anymore. This is ridiculous. Actually, Cortez, a real quick question to follow up on that. Your brother hinted in the pressers ahead of the entire event that you two had not been able to play with each other in high school due to circumstances, and it was a long story and all. Don't need a little long story, but what did it mean to be able to play with your brother to a national championship at Trine after what you guys had not been able to accomplish, whether it was in high school or prior or whatever, just those circumstances?
Yeah, it's very, very special. And the year that I had tip off, he really developed as a player. So growing up, we've always played on the same team. He wanted to play with me, so he played 2 grades up or whatnot whenever he could. But to be able to play with him when he's like close to maxing out his full potential as a player was interesting and exciting. It was an exciting time. So even like this season, to see his development and some of the things that he was able to overcome during the midst of our run was just special. And it's, like I said, it's something that I'm gonna be able to take with me and tell our kids growing up, So it's a special feeling. It's surreal.
That's the best for nephews and nieces in the future to say, my pops and my uncle combined for a national championship. By the way, no knock on Fred, but when you two are on the floor, you are not who I think is the oldest one. I kept getting confused thinking Fred was older. And it's no knock. You guys are incredible talents. And Brooks, what an option to add to this team. 2 guards who both distribute, both can score if they need to. But what I learned this weekend is, especially with Cortez, he doesn't have to score. And when he knows it's not necessarily going his way, he's smart enough to know where to find the guys who it is going for.
Well, I wouldn't say it's not necessarily going his way at times. I think both of them do an excellent job of feeling out the game. And why we've been so efficient this year is they've let the game come to them. Last year, we had a great team. It was a lot of fun to coach those guys, but we really played. We started 4 forwards in a center, and we would make a lot of plays on defense, and we just weren't quick enough to get to the other end and finish a lot of times on long rebounds and turnovers we created. And we ended up 22-4, but we always had somewhat of a ceiling. I just felt with our offensive ability, we were always going to have a hard time getting to 70. We needed speed. And when Fred came open in the portal, he's one of the guys. We've had so much respect for Jody May and the Albion program. I mean, we were going back and forth with championships for these guys for about 2 or 3 years there. And, competing against them, knowing what they could bring to the table, knowing their fierce level of competitiveness, we just felt with the way we kind of operate around here. I don't want to say system because I don't think it's a system. I think our system is we get really good players and we let them make plays, or they learn how to make plays. that they could really thrive at both ends of the floor. The one thing Cortez does is he's only 6 foot tall, but he plays about 6'6" at the defensive end. He switches on to 5 men. He knows how to stay in the gaps. And what these guys really have brought to our team more than anything is they can really pass. So we felt like, okay, we got 2 guys we can add that can really pass. Now Emmanuel becomes that much more valuable diving to the front of the rim. Or when Brent is deep in the post, we can get some post touches and take some pressure off of us. And then obviously they just work so tremendously hard at shooting the basketball. Any step-in jump shots that they get, they were really effective at making them. I think Fred shot over 40% this year from the three-point line, and Cortez just played at a level that was really unique in the tournament. So that's what we knew they could bring, but we knew it was going to be a challenge combining those type of personalities, and there was going to be sacrifices that were going to have to be made. We played at Kalamazoo, our opening MIAA game, and Cortez took 2 shots, and we were able to come out of there. I think Brent had 26. So we had 6 guys that averaged double figures. If Emmanuel wouldn't have cut his hand and we had to play starring minutes there in a few games, he would have averaged double figures. So we basically had 7 guys that could score double figures at any night. And we knew that was going to affect us in some ways, but we had to manage that. And these guys did a tremendous job. And Cortez really led that. He had no problem at times taking a back seat offensively to get other guys involved. And if you go look, I think if you did this and you looked at his first half box score versus second half box score, you'll see a much more aggressive offensive player in the second half, which is exactly what he was against Hampden-Sydney to really take control. And we won those first 5 minutes because of that.
Yeah,
the first 5 minutes of the second half.
Right. The Hampden-Sydney game I thought was interesting. And my point was Cortez, from my vantage point as the analyst on the broadcast, it felt like your shot was just a little off. Things weren't just quite clicking. And you weren't the only one, by the way. There were a lot of players. Dearman didn't look great in the Guilford Hampden-Sydney game either. He's coming up next in case he's tuned in and listening. But you had a sequence of back-to-back shots. Coming off of a steal, getting a layup where you yo-yo the damn ball, show off. And then immediately afterward from an assist from Smiley on the baseline where you hit another basket, boom, boom. Just like that, you distanced yourself from Trinity. And there were other sequences as well. What's it like to be in the moment? Teams coming back at you. It's getting close. Hampden-Sydney did this to you as well. And one of you or a couple of you suddenly make a couple of key plays defensively or offensively, and you pull yourself some distance. What's that moment like?
For me, like Coach kind of mentioned it earlier, I try to let the game come to me. I know, like, even though I wasn't shooting the ball great, I wasn't shooting anything that was out of rhythm per se. And I knew that the time would come where the plays would be there for me to make. I just stayed the course and kind of just kept my composure. I didn't let the misses really affect how I played the game or my mindset about how I would apply myself on offense. So when those plays started to come down the stretch, I think I was maybe 3 for 15, 14. But the last 2 minutes I was 2 for 2 or 2 for 3. So those were more important, and it trumped everything of how the game was going up until that point. So I just try to keep my composure, keep my mindset right for when it is time to make those key plays that my headspace is in the right position so I can make the play.
Yeah, no, that was certainly clear. Brooks, there were a bunch of moments I could point to this weekend. His back-to-back baskets, Smiley, who puts on 10 points for you in the first half, who's pretty much the reason you guys have a lead, thanks to everybody else's play. But Smiley's offense stands true in that first half against Trinity. You had the sequence late against Trinity with Menangolo picks up his 4th foul and almost immediately gets an emphatic dunk. Or not dunk, I'm sorry. First it was the block, the emphatic block he gets solo in the post, doesn't pick up his 5th, which then leads to the emphatic dunk, which you then pulled him out for at least a short break. And then you get to the championship game, and you had guys with, again, small moments here and there that made big differences. It truly was a team, and B, it was about just being ready for those moments, it seemed.
And we got guys, the maturity of this team is like nothing I've ever been a part of as a player and a coach. And again, I think Brent and Cortez helped lead that and Fred's focus. But Nate Tucker, as a sophomore, has, we've been trying to figure out a way. We knew he's going to be a great player as a freshman, and he's worked extremely hard this offseason. And we, as a staff, have been trying to piece this thing together about, okay, what are the best combinations against certain groups? We decided to go with a really fast lineup in the finals, in the Final Four. And Nate Tucker comes off the bench. We're down 19-8, I think, and we're coming out of the 8-minute timeout. There's only 8 minutes left in the first half. We scored 8 the first 12, and he just decided to make plays that he practices off the dribble, pull-up shots that a lot of people think are low percentage shots or not great decisions. But he hits 2 pull-ups, and then I don't know who drove to the basket and kicked it out to him. I think it was either Fred or Cortez, and he buries a 3, and he has a 7-point run of his own, and which sparks everybody else. And those 7 points, we were struggling to find out, okay, how are we going to score against this great defensive team? Not a good one. Those guys were a great defensive team, as was Trinity. But it was a big experience for him. In Trinity, the Trinity game, we're struggling a little bit. Brent Cox comes off the bench after playing very sparingly throughout the NCAA tournament, and Smiley throws an unbelievable wraparound pass to him in transition, and he hammers one home with a foul. And then we saw Brent the way we used to see Brent, with all types of energy, and he just played tremendous minutes for us, spelling Magnangelo, whether it was foul trouble or to rest him. And it really allowed us to be a lot more versatile at both ends of the floor.
Smiley had a moment in that game, too. He came up hobbling a number of times due to that leg injury he's dealing with, but he goes diving for a ball, which I think if Trinity had picked up, they would have gotten within 1. I think it was the sequence. He not only shields the guy away from it on the deflection into the backcourt to go get it, but he goes diving for it. The other player collides with him. He comes up, in pain, and the other player's like, "Oh my goodness, did I hurt you?" And he's turning and going, No, man, it's me. It's not you. Just a moment like, no, you don't need to feel bad about this. This is all about me. I hurt myself. It was an incredible, I could dive into so many other little factors that were amazing during the weekend watching you guys play. The fact that Trinity slowed things down, got to within 3, you guys stayed composed and had that little run. The fact that Hampden-Sydney absolutely threw haymakers at you. Fernald, I don't think you expected him to go coast to coast, for example, while weaving down the court. And you guys stayed composed. How much, and I mean this seriously, you were away from home, Brooks, but you decided to stay in the hotel. How much was maybe keeping the team able to be there and not get distracted with all the hoopla going on campus? Maybe helped you out a little bit.
Yeah, I think we wanted it to be a Final Four atmosphere. We were just fortunate that it was 40 minutes away. We did discuss, do you think we should go back and sleep in our own beds? But I talked to Cortez. I asked the guys, hey, what do you want to do? Coach, we want to stay here. So we stayed there without a doubt. And we played a lot. What did we do? Practice, putt.
Yeah,
we had a good time. We haven't been on a road trip in a long time.
Wait, there's
the MIAA. Oh, we're fortunate in the MIAA. I mean, it's a godsend after coaching and playing in the GLIAC those years ago. When you're driving 10 hours to the UP, our longest trip's only 2 hours, so there's not a whole lot of overnight stuff. But it was a great experience. I thought the team really came together. It was a lot of fun to watch.
Where is their putt?
It was in Fort Wayne.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I need to know this. I don't know any. What? I've been there more than you have, and I need to find this putt.
Yeah.
All right, mission for next year. Hey, listen, biggest crowd ever. Interesting enough, last time. Now, granted, we don't count the 2013 game in Atlanta because they didn't count the attendance for that game. Nothing against your crowd; it was bigger in Atlanta, but there were reasons it was bigger in Atlanta. It was a free ticket. But still, they were opening up the upper deck. You and Hampden-Sydney brought the crowd. What was it like to Cortez to play in front of that atmosphere?
It's what you dream of. And shout out to Hampden-Sydney. I know, obviously, Virginia is a ways away, but they traveled well, and they really contributed to the atmosphere. And, I mean, with Fort Wayne being just 40 miles away and 40 minutes away, it was like I said, it was like we was in our own backyard. So everybody came out and really electrified the gym, and it was definitely a motivator for us and a boost for us as well.
Brooks, I said this at the end of our broadcast. A lot of questions about the fact that you were an assistant or a GA under the famed Bobby Knight. Of course, in Indiana, that's a big deal, even though he was at Texas Tech at the time. And you, quick to remind everybody, you were more like an assistant under Chris Beard, who, of course, is on the staff at the Pacers. But I said this at the end of the broadcast. A lot is made up of that. You are your own man. You're your own coach. You've taken your experiences and figured them out. Maybe they can just talk about you being a pretty darn good coach instead of being tied to the Bobby Knight tree and such. Do you think this might help that?
No, I'm very proud of my lineage there. And it started with Coach Dalma, who was a national championship winner at Calvin. And him and Coach Saul recruited me to Hillsdale College, and I got to work for Coach Dalma. I learned a lot from him, and he was able to hook me up with Pat Knight. And I can't talk about Coach Knight without my relationship with Pat, and he's the one that works for the Pacers. Pat does.
Right. I had the wrong guy.
Yep. No, that's okay. Yep. And they provided me with an experience that was just tremendous. Every day it was, learning about things that were simple. And I feel a little guilty that I get so much publicity, or not so much, but I get publicity from that, because I was really just a guy. I had to go get coffee. I mean, that was part of my job at 27 years old. So I had a towel on my shoulder when somebody fell. But the big part of my job there was player development. So they didn't have those positions back then. So that was great. But yes, my relationship with guys like Coach Beard were tremendous. And, you talked about the crowd. We had former players there. I had college teammates that were there. College coaches, high school teammates, and Coach Beard, who you mentioned, actually flew him and his assistant Brian Berg and another good friend of mine, Almir. They were in the front row right behind the bench for the game. So it was just awesome.
Oh, I didn't realize
seniors,
that.
Yeah, they were there, and I'm just so thankful of that. And I tell our seniors, I know it's your last game and you think it's over, but it's just the beginning. This is such a special fraternity that you're about to join. And I know Cortez wants to be a coach, and he's going to be a great one. And I'm excited for him for that. But that crowd was built so many different ways. And I think a lot of it has to do with how much our guys, our players, really care about other people. I mean, and you can see how they care for each other, and that really builds some camaraderie. But yes, I've been fortunate. But my philosophy has evolved each and every year based on players, based on who we study. I talked to Jeff Gard the other night or before our games. And I said, man, watching the WIAC schools, I'm just fascinated in how you guys defend so well, because it's really kind of the opposite of what we do, but it's so effective. And as a coach, there's so many different ways to do things. I've always believed it's about players and the relationships. And I think the biggest decision you make as a coach is, okay, this is who we have. How can we utilize their strengths the best? And Division III recruiting is not like Division I, II, or junior college recruiting like my background. It's significantly different. There are so many other people on this campus that have decisions being made about our roster that are not mine, based on financial aid and, what kind of majors we got or whatever it may be compared to other levels. So I've just really enjoyed the challenge and loved figuring out different ways to be successful with different groups of guys. Like I mentioned earlier, last year, we had no guys that were really quick with the ball in their hands. So we had to run old school motion offense. Let's see if we can keep our best offensive rebounders around the basket and practice winning games shooting 38%. So this year we really locked into spacing a lot more and let these guys kind of figure out how to play. And we're really proud of that. And it was just a lot of fun watching these guys galvanize together, especially when it really mattered the most.
So you guys made it back about 8:30 or so to campus after you got to enjoy the fruits of your victory and get something to eat and relax and take a breath. What was campus like?
We came back to a very rowdy and excited crowd right here at the MCI Center. Posters. It was children, high school, and just people in the community that was really excited about what we done. I know you guys probably heard Coach Miller's interview. Yeah, it says that Trine University won a national championship, but everybody won a national championship, and we really felt that, and we felt the support of that as soon as we arrived on campus.
Yeah, I can imagine that was crazy. I noticed that there is going to be another celebration. It looks like tomorrow at 4 p.m. Cookies will be provided. So I'm going to leave now if cookies are coming. I need to be on. I assume they're good cookies.
Add it to the list of giveaways: bacon, beer, and now we got cookies. So that's how we get crowds here.
Wait, hold on. You gave away bacon and beer?
We had an alumni gathering before the Wash U game at Hershey Hall across the way, and their first drink was free. And I think we had about 2,500 people at that game too.
I'm an alum. I swear I am. I'm an alum. That is brilliant. Hey, gentlemen, I could talk to you forever, but I'm already behind times. I got other people going, wait, when is he talking to me? But such an amazing accomplishment again in your first ever championship. Brooks, I think your trip down to listen to Kevin Vanderstreek may have paid off. to say the least. A championship in the conference, your second ever. Of course, the first one was 2021 when there was no tournament. And now a national title in your first ever trip. Congratulations. That is certainly.
But hold on, Dave, we got 3. We got one in 2019 too. So that's all right.
How did I forget 2019?
Probably because we had to beat Cortez and those guys to get it.
Yeah, that's probably true. But congratulations. Really, really great accomplishment. Hats off to all of you on the championship. No pressure now, but I think we all expect you just to roll it back next year and do it again. So I think that's how it works, right? We have a tradition on the show. We always give the guests the final word. Cortez, we're going to lead off with you and let Coach wrap it up. And any final thoughts you want to share with those who might be tuned in?
I just want to say I felt we proved ourselves despite all of the analytics and what the politics said. I'm just excited that we all came together and was able to prove to ourselves and prove to everyone else how good of a team we actually really were.
Yeah, something about 4.
4%. It was we were an anomaly, but on Saturday.
I have nothing to do with that. But I did. I'm sorry, we're in the final word. I did forget to ask you guys. Lost 3 of the last 5 in the regular season and championship tournament or conference tournament, including the loss to Olivet. Brooks, quickly, what was that like to motivate this team?
Well, I don't know if it's as motivating as it was as we got to figure out what we're doing wrong or what we're not doing correctly or how can we get better. And it really forced us to dig deep. We had some uncomfortable conversations, player to player, coach to player, coaches to team, coach to coach. What do we got to do here? And I think we really dug deep. And again, we could have let that break us apart, but it brought us together, that level of confrontation. And I thought we just really improved. And we played against some really good teams. Being Olivet on senior night, they really share the ball well. They make extra passes and they made open shots and they beat us. And then we were one possession away from beating Calvin, and we had 2 really good looks in the last minute against Hope that didn't go in. And those are 2 great teams. So it was really more of a deep dive into ourselves. And listen, this is what we need to do. We can be satisfied with this partial championship, so to speak, a shared championship, or we can keep this thing going and really see how far we can make it.
Thanks. Sorry to derail that. I meant to ask about it earlier, and I completely lost track of time there. So Brooks, then we'll leave it to you to ask you what your final thoughts are.
I think things we've talked, just gratitude for you guys and the work you guys put in, the tireless hours, you and Bob and the Snyders and Riley, and I can go down the list of all the people, Ryan, that really promote Division III sports. And you guys had a lot to do with that crowd being what it was too. I think, you don't take enough credit for that. So we're gratitude to you guys, our fan base, the community, our administration here at Trine is really, really unique. We're just thankful for our families that supported us. My wife, I know their moms and dads, their girlfriends, everybody. It's just been an awesome experience from day one. And we're just feel very fortunate to be here at Trine and to come out on top against all these great teams that we've played against all year long. We feel very thankful.
Well, an incredible championship game. That's back-to-back incredible championship games. Thanks for being a part of it, and hats off again on the championship. Look forward to seeing what might happen in the future. Cortez, look forward to hearing what you might be doing in the future as well, other than showing up for free beer at the alumni events. Gentlemen, take care. Enjoy this one. We'll talk in the future.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Take care. Brooks Miller, Cortez Garland joining us here from the Trine squad and their national championship. Certainly impressive, to say the least. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll switch gears, talk Jostens Trophy championships, because getting that is a championship among itself. We'll talk to the trophy winners, including the head of the Jostens Committee, when we come back. You listen to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com from the NABC studios. Back with more after this.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.D3Hoops.com.
Coach of the Year, Administrator of the Year, All-America Team, Wade Trophy. The WBCA doesn't just honor coaches, but players, administrators, and much more. The WBCA strives to honor those who have contributed to the advancement of women's basketball. Celebrate the present, honor the past, look to the future.
I used to never really talk. Ever. I was scared and shy. It was hard to look at people's faces. I was afraid if I said something wrong, everyone would laugh at me. But then I started to play golf with Special Olympics. I made friends and won lots of gold medals. But I learned more than just playing golf. Special Olympics helped me to find my voice. And now everyone else is speechless.
Division III allows you to give yourself to other things.
Having that free time allows me to pursue the things that I want to pursue.
Division III athletics affords students the opportunity to, engage in the other interests in their campus and in their lives outside of that sport.
It allows you to just be able to do everything you want to do. I wouldn't change it for the world.
We are calling you, all of you. We are calling all Division III schools to join our cause.
It's on us to start the change. It's on us to be the change. It's on us. It's on Division III. It's on all of us to stop sexual assault.
I learned a lot of valuable lessons playing college football. I never thought about the health benefits of exercise until I actually started to talk to coaches in college. It's not only just for performance, it's for life. My coaches instilled the importance of well-being, not only building up strength, mental health, getting enough sleep, eating properly is all what it is to be healthy. I decided that I want to go into personal trainer and share my knowledge that I obtained in college about physical and mental well-being.
Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody, as we continue on in this Monday season finale, turning our focus now on the Jostens Trophy, a championship that is, or a championship, apologies, a trophy that is certainly one of the more prestigious in Division III. You have the Gallardi Trophy, very similar makeup on the football side, where it celebrates the student athletes' accomplishments both on the floor, in the sport of basketball, in the classroom, and in their communities. It's a trophy that's been given out since 1998 by the Rotary Club of Salem, Virginia. And it's one that they certainly take a lot of pride in, and so does the rest of Division III, because it truly is a YD3 award. Because, again, it's more than what they just do on the floor. Before we hear from this year's winners, which are Guilford's Tyler Dearman and Wisconsin-Whitewater's Aleah Grundahl, I got a chance to sit down with chair of the Jostens Committee and member of the Rotary Club of Salem, Virginia, Mark Henrickson, earlier today to talk about the award. Now joining us on the Hoopsville Hotline, it is the chair of the Jostens Committee and a member of the Rotary Club of Salem, Virginia. It is Mark Henrickson. Mark, thanks for taking the time to join us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
This is an award that is rich in history in Division III, and I guess in many ways, Mark, we have you to thank.
Well, it's not without the efforts of many people in our Salem Rotary Club.
Certainly others are involved, but as I understand the story, especially from yourself, this was kind of a brainchild back in the 90s, wasn't it?
Our Rotary Club of Salem has been very involved in the Old Dominion Athletic Conference basketball tournament since 1970s. And it was my idea as to how do we help recognize these student athletes for their achievements, not only in basketball, but in academics and community service. These are students who play for the love of the game. And so I had this idea and presented it to some of my colleagues, and that was kind of the birth of the Jostens Trophy. We have a longtime member of our Rotary Club who has been very involved in all Division III and Division I athletics by the name of Dan Wooldridge. And that was our original thought. We approached Jostens as a sponsor, and they wanted a little more name recognition, which I don't blame them. And that was how we got to where we are right now. We also, as part of the trophy, we do recognize Dan Woolridge with having a scholarship that goes to the winners' schools of $1,000 each. So that was kind of the start of this whole thing. In 1997 is when we announced that we were going to put together the trophy. We announced our first winners in 1998. And those two winners were Michael Nagello from Williams College and Alicia Moore from Emory University. And I can remember right after that sitting with our Jostens representative and him looking at me and saying, you know, we set the bar awfully high today. And with that being said, we did, but it has been a great run of just recognizing outstanding student athletes who play a good game of basketball, but have a high academic standard. Plus, they serve their community not only at their institutions, but also in the outlying area.
Yeah, that's the other significant, Mark, is it's not just, hey, who's a really good basketball player? A little bit like the Gallardi Trophy, too, on the football side. You want to make sure that they're good student athletes. They're also doing something in their community. This is supposed to be about a well-rounded athlete, right?
It is that. And the Rotary motto is service above self. And that's what a lot of these student athletes represent, is doing their service. It's been interesting over the years to talk to some of these winners and say, well, tell me what your day's like. And it's okay, I'm up at 4 or 5 in the morning, I study, 8 o'clock I go to class, in the afternoon I practice, then I go to wherever and volunteer, then I go back and study and get back in bed about 1 o'clock, and that's all during the season. So it's pretty amazing the dedication and commitment that these young folks are putting in.
Mark, also talking to you, another thing that you guys take a lot of pride in is that this is a men's and women's basketball achievement. It's not like you started with one and you added the other. It's always been both, and you guys are very proud of that.
It is something that's probably one of the things I'm most proud of, is that we are gender equal. You know, we at one time had the trophy presentation came here to Salem, and we made sure that it was always treated very gender equal through the whole thing. And that's, again, something we're very proud of.
Yeah, it used to be a nice little luncheon or something along those lines. Both athletes could be there. That's what has changed, Mark. Obviously, with Salem no longer hosting the men's basketball, but occasionally hosting the women's basketball championships. You guys have had to evolve a little bit. I think there were some who feared that maybe this award would go away with those changes. You guys have made sure that has not happened.
Well, you know, COVID certainly has affected all of us in how we do things differently. and that has changed how we've had to do things here, and partially because of the departure of the Final Four tournaments here, but more specifically, one of our thoughts were these institutions have celebrations at some time for these student athletes, and that it is more important for them to celebrate that with their peers. So it's kind of become that we will try to be part of a celebration at the institutions of the winners.
Yeah, that's a nice added bonus to some degree, taking it to the campus. Of course, we're announcing and celebrating the winners this year. Aleah Grundahl from Wisconsin, Whitewater, and Tyler Dearman from Guilford. Of course, Guilford, an ODAC member, ironically enough, or coincidentally, however you want to use that term. But you got to be proud of another great selection there. And your thoughts on the winners?
Well, again, you get these nominations, and this year we had 30 men's nominations and 30 women's nominations, and you start to read through them. Our local Salem Rotary Club has a committee who pares it down to 10 finalists, both on the men's and the women's, and it's very, very difficult because they just all are outstanding people. Is that not only good athletes, but good people all around. Guilford was fortunate enough to have a very good season and made it to the deep into the playoffs. And Tyler Dearman was a big part of that, but he's also important on his campus. If you read through the letter of recommendation, you see how important he is in the community there. And Aleah the same way. She's a double major and has a commitment to the academics, but also to her community. So it's really difficult, not only for our local committee, but for the national selection committee, because they're all outstanding individuals.
Yeah, I'll admit, as a voter myself, I always look forward to the voting and looking through the resumes, but I do not look forward to trying to figure out how to order them 1 through 10. It's not fair.
I've often said, and on the women's end, that you could throw all the nominations up in the air and the first 10 to hit the floor because they're that close. But that's not the way we do it. We are very thorough in going through and selecting the 10 finalists, and then we got to be proud about our national selection committee that is made up of people all around Division III, but also the business world, academic people who look over these applications. And we have 2 past winners. Steve Jurkovic, I believe is how you pronounce it, who's the head coach of Carthage. It's a Division III school, and he is a past Jostens Trophy winner, and also J.D. Byers, who is an assistant coach now at Virginia Tech, and both of those folks are also on our national selection committee.
Yeah, you got about 25, 30 voters. It ebbs and flows as everybody's worlds change, as it were, and certainly add new faces and such. It's an amazing trophy, Mark, and it honors not just who may be a really good basketball player, but who's good for their community and who's a good student athlete. In other words, who's a really well-rounded student athlete. It fits the Division III motto, if there ever was one, right?
That's correct. And the other thing, it's a nice piece of hardware. You look at this trophy, and Jostens has done a marvelous job and been very good to this whole piece. And if you look at that trophy, I'm a little biased, but that's one of the prettiest trophies I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I think I read 2 feet tall and 64 pounds. It's no small slouch either. You better have a good mantle.
It is, and it's Czechoslovakian crystal and some granite, and it's a very very nice piece. And then Jostens also does a ring for the winner, and so it's a nice package that Jostens does. So we've been very fortunate in our relationship that we've had with them.
Yeah, that's terrific, to say the least, and a tip of the hat to them for their longevity as well, especially in an ever-changing climate. We certainly know things have changed over the Gillardi Trophy. Just things can alter. Hey, listen, I know it's well ahead of next year, but at the same time, we've got a chance in case anyone's kind of like, hey, what about my student athlete? Could you give everybody kind of a synopsis of the process? Maybe not the exact dates, because those may alter next year just based on the schedule, but what's the basics of how someone can be nominated and the process that gets us all the way to the end?
Well, as you know, there's about 430 schools in Division III that play either men's or women's or both, basketball. And there is on the website, it gives a timeline of when a nomination has to be in, and that's usually in mid-February. Those nominations come into us at the Salem Rotary Club, and we review them and get down to 10 finalists for both men and women. From there, all that information is sent out to the National Selection Committee. Like you said, there's about 25, 30 people throughout the community, and they vote, and those numbers come in just this past week. And that's how the winner comes about. And that usually happens right at this mid-March time.
Yeah, right around the championships, usually, depending on several factors. Right. Again, when Salem had the Final Four, you guys would do it the Thursday prior. Obviously, It's a little bit different now, and I'm glad you guys did it on a Monday when I got back home, so we could do it here on Hoopsville. Again, coming up, we'll be talking to both the winners. Mark, I appreciate your time and salute you all on the idea and keeping it going. This is a wonderful thing for Division III. More sports should do it, is my argument, but we don't need to wade into that deep rabbit hole. Mark, in the meantime, though, we have a tradition on the show. We always give the guests, though, the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those who might be tuned in about the award, about the Rotary Club, about anything?
Well, I want to thank you guys at D3 Hoops for your support. Thing, it's just been a great run this far. We look forward to what the future brings for this award to continue. It's just been fun. It's been rewarding. It gives you an affirmation that we have just wonderful student athletes. And, again, at the Division III level, for the most part, you're playing for the love of the game and the love of the community. And that's special and important to us.
Well said, Mark. I agree with you entirely. Thank you again for your time. I appreciate it. Look forward to catching up with you down the road, maybe even bumping into you in my travels through Salem. And we'll look forward to talking to the winners coming up. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Mark Henrickson joining us here on the Hoopsville Hotline from the Salem Rotary Club. Thanks to Mark for joining us on the show. Great to hear from his perspective on what this trophy means to him, the Rotary Club of Salem, and whatnot. And you can hear, because the Rotary Club's association with this, why it's so important. It's not just about a great student athlete. It's also about what you're doing in your community and what you are in your classroom. I was going to take a break now to get our guests lined up for the next segment, but to save their time and to save everybody else's time, we're just going to get right into it. Our winners again this year for the trophy are Tyler Dearman, the guard out of Guilford. I have that right. Sometimes I think he's a forward the way he plays. And Aleah Grundahl who is certainly an impressive player for Whitewater. And joining us on the Hoopsville Hotline live to talk about it are the two winners of the Jostens Trophy. Congratulations to both of you, Tyler and Aleah, an accomplishment to say the least, honoring you for what you did on the floor, what you do in the classroom, and what you do in your community. Thanks for joining me. Tyler, congratulations to you, sir.
Thank you.
And Aleah, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Listen, I know it's a little bittersweet because I know the two of you had bigger aspirations, especially the season that you had. Tyler, of course, was in the championship weekend in Fort Wayne. Aleah, oh, so close, getting to the Elite Eight before Transylvania ended your season. I know this doesn't make up for missing out on your chance at a national title, Aleah, but you've got to be pretty thrilled with being honored by people for what you're doing as an overall student athlete.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely special. Something that maybe down the road I'll really process, but still processing the season, the career, and everything that goes along with that.
Down the road. I can appreciate that.
Down the road.
Yeah, a week later, maybe not so much.
Yeah.
Tyler, oh so close in a rivalry game against Hampden-Sydney in the semifinals. This is no consolation prize by any stretch of the imagination, and I'm sure you're still licking your wounds a little bit. But what does it mean to be honored by this group for what you are as a student athlete?
I think it's a huge honor. Definitely when they told me about it, of course I did my research and I felt very honored to be a part of this award. Yeah, I mean, we did fall short this year, but I'm still very proud of what we achieved this year. Making it to the Final Four was a great. It was exciting for sure to go to Fort Wayne, so I enjoyed it a lot.
You guys certainly had a great game against Hampden-Sydney. You came up short. Of course, they end up coming up short in the national title. Does that make you feel better, Tyler? At least you wouldn't have maybe won it either, or did you want your rivals to win it?
I mean, I told those guys after the game, good luck and, go win it. But I mean, it just hurts that it wasn't us,
Fair. Aleah, same deal. You guys lost to Transylvania, who was undefeated, had a 64-game winning streak after that, and then they lost to NYU in the semis. Does that make you feel better, or does it just hurt more?
Yeah, I mean, they're a phenomenal program. I mean, they were undefeated for about 2 years, so that there was something amazing. But we had the home court advantage. I mean, playing at home one last time, it was something special. But I had the privilege of watching the games in the Final Four and the national championship because I was there for the All-Star game. So it was good to watch. They were great games. I mean, Transylvania put up a fight, but NYU definitely has a lot of weapons on their team.
Yeah, they most certainly do. Hey, let's talk about this award, about what it means overall. Because, again, you're both very good players. If memory serves, you both score more than 20 points a game. But it's about what you do in the classroom and what you do elsewise. Aleah, I got your resume up first just by chance. So when the resume came out, it was 20.8 points a game, 52% from the floor, 78% free throw shooter, 6.2 rebounds, 2 assists a game, 2.2 steals per game. But here's the part that I focus on. Major in elementary education, minor in special education, a 3.55 GPA, volunteers at a senior center for 4 years, recreation sports administrative assistant for 2 years, a student teacher in the fall, a substitute teacher in the spring this year while playing basketball, by the way. Also 4 years on the SAC, and there's a lot more than that. Can you give us a little bit of the sense of what a day in the life of Aleah Grundahl is like with all the stuff that you are involved with when it's not basketball?
Yeah, I kept myself very busy this year. I mainly work just in the summers just because basketball is so crazy and a year-round sport. But this year I student taught in the fall, so I worked from 7 to 3, and then I'd show up to practice and get through practice about till 5:30, and then I'd have to go do lift or watch film on my own because I would have missed that at 2:15. So really a 7 to 7 schedule all 5 days, and then practicing on Saturdays, having Sundays to recover. So did that all fall. And then when spring came around, I decided to substitute just to make money still while I was playing. So I did that. And that schedule was a little more flexible because I was able to kind of pick my hours, but picked a lot of shifts up. So did the best I can and got to practice. I the biggest thing was flipping the mindset once I left school to try to flip the mindset of making the team better and keeping the energy up in practice. But some days were definitely harder than others.
Yeah, I can imagine they would have been a little bit tougher than others. Tyler, same question. What's a day in the life like for you when it's not necessarily basketball?
So during when I was working my internships, usually I would go in when I was working with the Grasshoppers minor league team here in Greensboro. I'll normally, go in at about about an hour before the game start. Get ready. Like I said, I'm in sports production, so I worked a lot with cameras. So want to make sure we had our little meetings before the games and really just make sure everything is good, and then go right into work as far as that was. And then of course, schoolwork that have to get done during the day. So it's pretty much in a day for me.
We didn't go through your resume. It says 19.7 points a game on our ballot, but I know that's over 20 points a game now thanks to the postseason. Shoot 40% from the floor, 85% from the free throw line, 32% from beyond the arc, by the way. 3 assists per game, 2.4 steals per game. You are a master's of international sports management after having a bachelor's in sports management, minor in communications, a 3.8 grad school GPA, which is a 3.4 cumulative. Volunteered to read to students at a local elementary school on multiple occasions, worked high school team camps, 2-time team captain, also a member of the Guilford College Black Student Union. If you don't mind, can you dive into that a little bit? I've seen this pop up on a few resumes before, and I don't think I fully appreciate what that is in terms of the Guilford College Black Student Union and what your work is.
So really, the Black Student Union, so during my undergrad, I was a part of that during my undergrad, but really when you was part of it, do different events around campus, usually be like having different food events, talking more about the club itself. So really just trying to spread that word and, spread it around what BSU is on campus.
We should point out again, you're from the Greensboro area, so this is your community that you're giving back to in a lot of ways. Aleah, is this? I'm double checking. Is this your community, or you're not necessarily from the area, right?
No, I'm from Wisconsin, so my hometown is more of like the Madison area.
Right. So you're kind of giving a little bit back to the community that's not necessarily your area. What's that experience like?
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. Our stands are usually filled each night. A lot of community members. I feel like the more success we've had over the years, the more community members get involved. So really just the culture of our sports and the culture of all the sports at Whitewater is really special, knowing that you get those people from your hometown, but then also the people in the community, the kids in the community, teachers around here. So just that all around is really special to play in front of.
One thing that jumped out at me on the letter that was written on your behalf, Aleah, was the fact that in 2003, earned All-Star team honors from the WBCA and was selected by the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame to have her jersey displayed in the Ring of Honor. What was that like to understand that they wanted to have your jersey hanging up to represent?
Yeah, it was something that, I mean, at the time, I obviously wasn't able to process, but truly was an honor. It was funny because the summer before, my family actually took a trip there just to visit it because we were going around Nashville, and then a summer later I found out my jersey was actually getting hung there. So it was kind of crazy because we were just there, and I mean, walking around, never did you really think you were going to be up there one day, but truly another honor, something that was really special, and still have not been down to see it yet, but hoping to go down soon.
That's pretty darn cool. Tyler, I know there's no jerseys hanged up necessarily at any honors for yourself, but you and Guilford did yourselves proud by getting to the championship weekend. That certainly galvanized your community quite a bit. Tell us a little bit about the season you all just experienced.
We definitely we started off hot this year. I think 10-0 before we took the loss to Shenandoah. But I mean, really, I think this season, this the most wins I had in the season with Guilford. We fell short in the ODAC tournament. We kind of knew that we was in, but we wasn't too sure. But given the second chance of, being able to get in, we want to make the most of it. And I think we made the most of it. And I'm just proud of how the way we competed this season.
We should point out, by the way, Tyler's at home, but Aleah, we're going to get to what she's doing right now because she's not home. She's not in Whitewater. She's not in Wisconsin. We'll get to that in a moment. But Tyler, quick follow-up on the fact that, what you guys were able to accomplish. A little bittersweet that you have to take on your conference rival in that semifinal game and knowing that some ODAC team's going to try and win a title like Randolph-Macon did 2 years ago, and it might not be you?
Yeah. Definitely when the bracket came out, when we knew it was on the same side as Hampden-Sydney, we knew it was a possibility that we was going to play them again, and it wound up happening. It was a great game for sure. That team is very, very good. But yeah, I mean, I would definitely, prefer to play somebody else for sure.
Aleah, basketball season ended, unfortunately, thanks to Transylvania on your home floor, which, by the way, Aleah, I don't know if you know, on the men's side, none of the hosts lost. All the hosts made it to the Final Four. You were not alone on the women's side. Only one host got through. But you got immediately hung up your basketball shoes, right? Or no,
Yeah.
did you? Yeah, no, you did. And tell everybody where you are right now.
Well, I'm actually back in Whitewater.
Oh, did you get back? Okay.
Yeah, I got home yesterday. But we unfortunately lost Saturday, and then Sunday I had to make the decision on if I want to play in the All-Star game or not. So it was a quick turnaround. I had a little convincing done by my coaches and my family that I should do it because I wasn't quite in the right mindset after just ending your career. But I went there Wednesday with my coaches, and then we had a whole bunch of fun for a couple days, and meeting new girls across the nation was really awesome. It was really cool to experience it and listen to what their programs are like and just compare and contrast the different types of programs, and truly how honored and awesome it is to play at Whitewater and all the experiences we get to have.
We should point out that's the All-Star game that returned. It had not been back since the COVID break, so you get the chance to kind of rekindle that event. That must have been a cool experience. And were you on Nancy Faye's team or the other team?
The other team.
Oh, I'm sorry. Nancy
I still
Faye,
got to meet her though. We had a great conversation.
and your coach was Wilmington's former coach, right? Won a championship with Wilmington?
Yes.
But
Yep.
Nancy Faye turned on the competitive streak right there in that game. She took that thing seriously and fought back.
Oh yeah. We had a practice, and we were kind of just running through offense, shooting, and they were down on the other side, and they were putting in plays, playing defense, and we were like, all right, they came here to play.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Tyler, you didn't get a chance to be in that All-Star game. You might have had that chance, I realize, if you hadn't been there that weekend. I know it's better to be there for the championship weekend when you're there with your team. So it's kind of a bittersweet opportunity. We should point out for both of you, though, you all made your decisions to play your last years. Take that extra year. You've gone through this COVID experience and stuck around for an extra one. Tyler doing a graduate year. Aleah, I don't think it was graduate year, right? You just did your fifth year, essentially.
Yeah, I kind of just stretched my classes out.
Don't blame you. I stretched my classes before. That was a cool thing to do, and I didn't do it necessarily by choice. But we'll digress. Tyler, quickly, for you first, tough decision to come back for another year, or was that obvious considering what you wanted to do?
So I talked to my teammate, Julius Birch. We're both fifth-year guys, and definitely losing to Randolph-Macon in the ODAC championship and falling short of being able to come to the NCAA that past season definitely, ignited us to come back for a grad year. So it was really a matter of what masters I wanted to do. And luckily, Guilford, had the international sports management. So that was right down my alley. So I was definitely, wasn't ecstatic for it, but because, it was more schoolwork. But I mean, I definitely, enjoyed this experience, and not only this full season, but in that master's program and learning more about sports management itself.
Yeah, that's not a bad way to make it work out, especially in that field. Aleah, as you said, you got a chance. So you kind of were planning this was going to go this direction for a while, and you were stretching your classes out? Or when did that decision kind of become part of your reality?
Yeah, so once COVID hit, the year after, we actually lost in the national championship. So I think right away I kind of was like, yeah, I'm definitely coming back. So I think it was right away. It's something I had planned out. There was 2 seniors the year we went to the national championship right after COVID that really were like big parts of my life and inspired me and got me going. And they were both also going to be teachers. So I think right from then, I knew I was coming back. And then last year at the end of the season in our conference championship, I broke my hand. So I was thankful that I was coming back.
Yeah, I can understand that entirely. Aleah, your team obviously was really good as well, had high aspirations. You got to be pretty proud with what you all accomplished.
Yeah, absolutely. It's truly an honor to play here. For my coaches, they're a huge part of my life. I mean, a lot of the girls have been here since I've been here. So being able to see them grow and myself grow and all of us grow and have a really strong bond in the program is something really special.
Tyler, what's it been like to be with this program, coaching under Tom Palumbo, et cetera, or playing under Coach Tom Palumbo is what I meant to say?
It's been an honor. I have many different assistant coaches come through, and I just want to give a shout out to all of them for sure. Ronnie Thomas at Longwood, Marcus Curry at Virginia Wesleyan, Coach Dom at Newport, and the many coaches that came through. It's been an honor, and definitely playing under this program under Coach P. He knows what he's doing. He's very old school, but I enjoy playing for him for sure.
Yeah, it's great to see Tom and the program back up. By the way, you mentioned earlier, Julius Birch, had a big shot in the semifinals, a 3-pointer. Just for the record, anybody's out there wondering, Birch is now 1 for 7 on his career of 3-point shooting. That was his only made 3, and he made it look easy, Tyler. Were you as stunned as the rest of us?
If you leave it to him, that's his. If you leave it to him, that's his first career 3 that he took. But it definitely got me. But we told him, you can take them shots because I played for Julius about 5 years, and I seen him play and like he can shoot them threes if he need to. But he said he don't leave it up to the other guys to shoot the threes. But it definitely got us excited when he made that 3.
Yeah, he had no choice. The shot clock was expiring. It was either he takes a shot or you guys were handing the ball over. It didn't really matter. Aleah, by the way, pictures of you, lots of long braids. I genuinely ask this as a guy who's got an 11-year-old daughter who every once in a while wants braids herself. How long does that take you?
I've had them over the last couple years, but one of my teammates has done them every game. So shout out to her. I do not do them, but she does them for every game.
For just you or everybody?
I'd say not everybody, but most of us usually have some kind of braid.
That's a lot of work. Gosh.
There's a couple of them that braid hair, so it's not just her.
I get it. Hey, curious, what is everybody's future plans now that the basketball season is over and your collegiate careers are over? I realize it doesn't mean necessarily your basketball is over, but maybe it's also time to pivot. It is Division III. We all know that everybody goes and does different things. Aleah, what do you plan to do when you get your diploma?
I'm planning to teach. I've kind of been putting it off trying to finish my basketball career, so I have not yet applied, but I'm hoping to teach grades 2nd through 5th in a school, and then maybe get into coaching eventually after I get a couple years of teaching underway. But I know there's lots of opportunities, lots of different things I could do with basketball as well, so keeping that in my back pocket, but hoping to figure it out soon.
Yeah, I can understand. I'd love to tell you there's no rush, but as you know, the time is ticking, right?
Yes.
Tyler, you already told me, so I'm cheating a little bit here, but I have a feeling your career may not be over yet.
I hope not. But, I mean, as of right now, I mean, when you're in the master's program, I'm in school until August, so I'm still be doing school until August. We're going to study abroad beginning of June in New Zealand, Australia, so that'll be fun. So.
Oh, I'm so sorry for you, Tyler. That's such a horrible trip. You are not going to like that at all. Though I asked the question because this came up. Washington and Lee had a player on their women's team like this. Have you ever been on a plane and flown anywhere, Tyler?
Oh yeah, we flew on a plane up Fort Wayne.
Oh right. Oh, you did. That's right. Tom was telling me about that. Right. Well, okay. Which flight did you have? Did you have the fly through? What was it? You had the fly through Chicago route?
Oh, so we split up into two groups. We flew to Atlanta first from Greensboro. Then we went from Atlanta to Fort Wayne.
That's right. So it was the Atlanta plane, and I think the other was the Chicago plane, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that just sounds ideal. Of course you've flown. Dumb question. I should have remembered that. New Zealand is going to be further away, though. It's
definitely going to be a far flight for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be. I assume you all got first class, right? So you can all sleep in some nice big comfy beds.
I wish.
Right. I do too. I only say that because I have a buddy of mine in my other career who just flew over to South Korea and got first class, and I'm very jealous. Tyler, Aleah, I could talk your ears off. I apologize for taking all this time already, but it's great to chat with you. Congratulations on this honor. The Jostens Trophy is the pinnacle of what it is to be a student athlete, right? It's about being a student, and it's also about being an athlete, but it's also about giving back to your community. So tip of the hat to you on that and your accomplishments. What we have this show is a tradition called the final thought, final word. Anything you'd like to share with those who may be tuned in? We'll go on the screen left to right, and we'll start with Tyler. Tyler, any final thoughts you want to share with those tuned in?
Final thoughts. First, I want to thank you for having me on to the show. It's been a pleasure. This isn't the last show, is it, for the season?
Technically, it's the season finale. We'll have some off-season shows, but yes, the last true full production, yes.
Oh, there's definitely an honor to be on the season finale with you, with y'all. So, definitely, like I said, I enjoyed playing for Guilford. I just wish nothing for the best for them in the future for their basketball program, and I enjoyed it.
Well said. Don't pressure, but you two are the last guests of the regular season. Again, we'll have some off-season stuff. Aleah, any final thoughts?
Thank you for having us. This is truly an honor. Like I said, I'll wrap my head around it one day, but want to give my coaches a shout out. Coach Crowell and Coach Joe have done nothing but great things to me, and Coach Hammer and Coach Jenna and all the other GAs. So I want to thank them and my family and just everybody who's been a part of it, and definitely my teammates, because I wouldn't be sitting here without all of them today. So just thanking them and appreciative of everything that's happening.
Absolutely. Congratulations. By the way, start working out now if you're not ready. The trophy is 64 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, it's 2 feet tall, 64 pounds, beautiful crystal and cherry wood. You'll stay in shape lifting that thing around.
Yeah.
I know you'll get it at a later date. Enjoy that moment as well. Congratulations to the two of you on your careers as well. Thank you for being great student athletes. We enjoyed watching, and we'll look forward to catching up with you down the road.
Thank you.
Tyler Dearman and Aleah Grundahl joining us here on the Hoopsville Hotline. The Jostens Awards winners, Jostens Trophy Awards winner, whatever, for this year. Congratulations to them. We'll take another quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about what's coming up in terms of championship bids. We'll put a bow on the championships themselves and much more. We only got one segment left of the regular season show. Tune in for it. The National Association of Basketball Coaches is the nation's premier professional development and advocacy organization for basketball coaches at every level. The NABC strives to serve as the voice for coaches on national issues while advancing the core value of leadership, service, advocacy, education, and inclusion. To learn more about the NABC and to become a member, visit NABC.com and follow the NABC on social media at NABC 1927. That's NABC.com or NABC 1927 on social media.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
In any way that we can.
To get a friend home safe.
To never blame the victim.
It's on us.
To stand up.
To make our community safe for all. It's on us.
It's on us to look out for each other at parties.
It's on us.
To be more than just a bystander.
To step up and say something.
It's on us, all of us.
To stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
These are your teams, your players, your community of fans. This is where they play, where they practice, where you cheer. At every meet, every event, every game. Your community is passionate, dedicated, supportive. You know the tension of a close game and the thrill of the win. So while you're cheering, keep an eye out for anything out of the ordinary. If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
I learned a lot of valuable lessons playing college football. I never thought about the health benefits of exercise until I actually started to talk to coaches in college. It's not only just for performance, it's for life. My coaches instilled the importance of well-being, not only building up strength, mental health, getting enough sleep, eating properly is all what it is to be healthy. I decided that I want to go in a personal trainer and share my knowledge that I obtained in college about physical and mental well-being.
For the love of the game. But for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that, a lot more.
Sure, the game is important, but as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics, and in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
You can make a difference.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
Welcome back to Hoopsville. This is the season finale, at least in our full-throated version of the show. We will talk at the very end what our plans will be for the off-season, but our last full production show. Quickly, before we get to kind of a wrap-up of things, I wanted to talk to you about the championship bid process. As we talked about back in January, especially, and even a little bit of February, the championship bids were opened up for the 2026-27 and 27-28 championship years. So that means the fall, winter, and spring of 26-27 and 27-28. The championships are set to be in Fort Wayne on the men's side through 2026, and 2026 is a joint championship year with D1 and D2 in Indianapolis. So unless something changes, and I can't imagine it won't be, Fort Wayne will host the Elite Eight and Final Four. So the quarterfinals and semifinals. And the All-Star game will be there as well, seemingly. The women's next joint championship, I don't think is till 2029. So outside the next bid cycle. The next bid cycle is just 2 years versus what has been 4 years for a number of cycles. As a result, here's what we know. First, we don't know who is all bidding. I have checked around, and I don't think that information is really outside of a very small group of people. And that might be because they may get the bids by the deadline of February 1 or whatever it was. They probably go through some processes to make sure those bids are good to go, all legitimate before the committees dive into them. Committees will look at them. Best I can tell, I think they all meet in April, at least for basketball. And they may start looking at them then, but I'm not exactly positive. They may make decisions in April, but they may wait until the next committee takes over. Committees work until August, just for the record. So these current committees are on duty pretty much till August before the next committees take over. I don't think any final decisions, they might be made in September for all I know, but early October is when these bids will be announced. Here's what we have learned. On the women's side, there may be a handful of bids that have gone in. We know that City of Salem is in on the women's basketball side. They've also gone in for men's and women's women's basketball, men's and women's soccer, men's and women's volleyball, the Stag Bowl in football, and softball and women's lacrosse, all on the Division III side, plus Division II softball, I believe, and maybe some other Division IIs. We have not heard about any other bids. I suspect Columbus will be back in the mix. All in counts I heard is they did a pretty good job. Yeah, there was a clock malfunction that happens. I've seen, like I said earlier, at the men's side, the replay system malfunctioned during the championship game. Just no one knew about it. I think some other gremlins, but otherwise, for the most part, did a good job. So I suspect they'll be in the mix. On the men's side, we heard this weekend that there are 6 bids in on the men's side. Salem is not one of them. Either is Fort Wayne. Fort Wayne has decided to, because it's a 2-year bid cycle, they're going to aim for some other things and see where that takes them. And if they get them, great. If they don't, it's just a 2-year cycle here where they'll be out of D3 men's basketball. But from what I was told, they are aiming at the Division II men's and women's Elite Eights. They're also aiming at Division III wrestling. I'm not sure if they're aiming for others, but those were a couple that were brought up before my conversation was interrupted. That conversation also included the fact that they look at the attendance numbers for these events, because for a place like Fort Wayne and the city and its tourism, it's about hotels. It's about filling hotels. And while there was a record set this year, and it was congratulations on that, most of those fans came from 40 miles away on the Trine campus, or at least nearby. Not a lot of them stayed in hotels. Yes, there were still some hotels, but my point is, the Trine record, or the record that Trine helped develop, didn't boost hotel room rates, though Hampden-Sydney sending a bus the last minute most certainly did. So they are not in the mix, and neither is Salem. So we will be going to a new place in 2027 and 28 in men's basketball. I can tell you this, and listen, we've speculated, Eau Claire has built a new facility, and I know when they were building that, they were going to throw their hat in the ring for ice hockey. They were going to throw their hat in the ring for basketball. It doesn't seat enough, I don't think, for men's basketball. Men's basketball minimum, I believe, is 5,000 and women's 3,500. According to what we read online, it's 5,000 with standing room. It's more like a 3,800, I think, seat facility. I would argue outside of this year and once every 25 years, we don't need a 5,000 seat arena, but who knows? I can say, and we've been sitting on this for a few weeks, but we've gotten permission, that there is a facility that has put in for men's and women's basketball. And I know they put in for this ideal of a dual championship, which is something I believe Division III could move towards. And I think maybe the 27-28 year is a perfect way to put our toe in the water on the idea. Granted, by the time we're bidding on 29 and 30, we will not have experienced 27 yet. So we can't really speak on whether it would be a long-term thing, but I would like to see Division III move towards a dual championship. That location is located just north of Richmond. It's part of the group called the Henrico Sports Authority, which is basically Richmond and Henrico counties. It's a 3,500 plus seat facility. I believe they can seat maybe up to 5,000. I don't know their exact nature of their seats. You will have seen it at the A10 Women's Championship week that just took place in Division I. It's in conjunction with Randolph-Macon. From what I'm told, they bid on men's and women's basketball, volleyball, possibly Division II. I have a note that says D2 Hoops, so I hope I have that right. Plus dual championship as well. Location is just north of Richmond, right where I-95 and the kind of the beltway of Richmond come together. It's got hotels and restaurants around it, and you're not that far from Ashland. You're also just a little bit east of another whole section of hotels and restaurants. So that's one of the bids that is out there. We'll see if this goes anywhere. We'll learn more information potentially in April, if there's any more information to be gleaned. And again, sites will not be announced, though, until October. So there's a chance out there that this dual championship maybe comes through. I'd love to see it. I think Division III, this makes sense. The one challenge we had on Thursday and Saturday, Thursday especially, where the games were taking place simultaneously. Women's games were staggered earlier than the men, which was weird because the women's title game was later than the men. But it'd be nice. Thursday, you go to one gender's semifinals. Friday, you go to the other gender's semifinals. Saturday, it's the first gender's title game with their all-star game. And on Sunday, it's the other gender's title game and all-star game. If you really have to worry about those who can't play on Sunday, it's not something that has really been sweated upon for those in soccer. I think we can figure it out. But I think it's worth doing. So anyway, we'll see where this goes. 6 bids on the men's side. I believe at least 3 on the women's side, but we don't have a real number. We don't know exactly who other than Salem on the women's side and this Henrico setup. So that's 2 of at least 3 bids on the women's side. And I think there might be more on the women's side. Count Columbus, that would be 3. I got to figure there's maybe 1 or 2 more on the women's side. So we'll see where this all develops and where it all goes. With that in mind, and before we give you all of our plans for the rest of the season, I did want to go back. If you remember last year, the Fort Wayne Coliseum, the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum, and Manchester University put a great little recap video, kind of like the D1 does on the men's side on the basketball season. Well, they did it again this year, and we got special permission to run that. So we're going to look back on the men's basketball championship from their production. At the very end is those who put it together, and then we'll wrap up the show on the tail end. So take a look back at what was one of the more exciting and fun men's basketball championships.
Good afternoon and welcome to the 2024 NCAA Division III Men's Basketball Selection Show. There's nothing better than basketball and brackets as March is officially around the corner. And we will head to Fort Wayne again this season. And who gets there depends largely on how teams can survive the challenge of this 64-team bracket.
Used to pray for a moment just like this. There's a fire in your eyes I can't resist. Baby, we're gonna wanna remember this. Baby, we're gonna wanna remember this. I can taste it forever on your lips. There's a lifetime living inside that kiss. Baby, we're gonna wanna remember this. Baby, we're gonna wanna remember this.
It feels like just yesterday we got this season started. It has been fast-paced. It has been exciting. It has been up and it has been down. And really, honestly, as much as we may have some favorites in this bracket, it's anybody's to win.
I know. Just one more dance, 2 more drinks. There's a fire in your eyes I can't resist. Baby, we're gonna wanna remember this. Baby, we're gonna wanna remember this. I can taste it forever on your lips. There's a lifetime living inside that kiss. Baby, we're gonna wanna remember this. Baby, we're gonna wanna remember this. Life moves a little faster. Every second I'm with you. I didn't know what I was after until I found it all in you. This I know. If tonight is all we got, then don't let go. Yeah, yeah. Just one more dance, 2 more drinks. It'll go by fast, so don't you blink. Used to pray for a moment just like this. There's a fire in your eyes I can't resist. Baby, we're gonna wanna remember this. Baby, we're gonna wanna remember this. I can taste it forever on your lips. There's a lifetime living inside was true. Baby, we're gonna wanna remember this. I could pray for a moment just like this. There's a fire in your eyes, I can't freeze it. Baby, we're gonna wanna remember this. Baby, we're gonna wanna remember this. I can taste the love on your lips. There's a lifetime living inside that kiss. Baby, we're gonna wanna remember this. Baby, we're gonna wanna remember this. Remember, remember, wanna remember, 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 wanna remember, baby, we're gonna wanna remember this. Baby, we're gonna wanna remember this.
Another great job with that video. I was packing up our production on the audio-only national broadcast for D3 Sports. Knew the video was running, figured we'd get a piece of it so I could watch it in its detail later, and then suddenly heard a familiar voice. Snuck me in this year, but it was fun to watch nonetheless. Congratulations on that effort. A couple of quick business notes before we sign off. Our current Hoopsville fundraiser is at just over 36% of the way. We're going to keep it open for the time being. Any help you can give us as we move forward, we greatly appreciate it. I believe it's Candace I want to thank for sending us some new gear. I forgot to bring it down with me. We'll talk about it in the future, but we got some new wireless microphones to use when we're on the road. We appreciate that donation. That is part of that number at the top of your screen. Also a huge donation from a Final Four coach last week. It was also very much appreciated and thanked. We have that as part of the total. If you want to donate and give, you can do so by using Venmo. Just look up Dave McHugh on Venmo. You can also use the Cash App. Use $DaveMC23. You can also use GiveButter. We have a bunch of those links up for that. It's not on your screen, but you can use GiveButter if you want. It's an old campaign. You're going to see a weird number on there. Just ignore that number in terms of how much we've raised. That's basically what the campaign has raised in 3 years on GiveButter specifically. So you can use that. There's also, if you want to send a check or use Zelle or what other avenues, email us. You can do so at hoopsville@d3sports.com, and I will get back to you on that information. You can also use the Amazon donation if you want. I think I just got corrected. Oh, yeah, I did say it wrong. I'll fix that in a minute. Thank you. I thought I was saying that wrong. You can use the Amazon link that we have on the show page, and we have tweeted out as well. On our Twitter account, there is a pinned message about our fundraising. There's 2 tweets, that one and the follow-up. The Amazon list is where we went up and got the new wireless microphones. I want to appreciate that assistance. And so you can find that information there. And I swear there was some other thing I was going to mention about donating to the cause. By the way, that Amazon list, you don't have to buy from Amazon if you don't want to. It does come with our shipping address, so you can send it to us. But if you think you can find an item that is similar to what we're asking for, or you can find it at a better price, go ahead. Just let us know it's on its way, or email me and I'll send you our shipping address. Quick question. I mentioned Henrico, and I was saying it feeling I was saying that darn wrong. Thank you for the correction. It's Henrico. Henrico. I knew I was getting that one wrong. That's the bid north of Richmond in men's and women's basketball and possible dual bid. They have bid for both and dual. So it was Henrico. I apologize to that group for botching that one. Should they get the bid for 27, I promise I'll have that nailed down by the time we get there. By the way, quick note, Bob Quillman and Ryan Scott are watching some D3 players in professional ranks. Bob is at a game with Ryan Terrell. Not sure where that game is taking place, but it's a G League game. And Ryan Scott, which is why we don't have him on the show tonight, he's at a 76ers game watching Duncan Robinson and the Heat. Remember, the last time we had 2 conference teams in men's basketball face off in the same year at the national championship weekend was when Amherst and Williams did it, and Duncan Robinson was on the floor. That's how significant Hampden-Sydney and Guilford's accomplishment was in that situation. So there you go. That is going to do it for us. So note for the offseason. I have said this the last couple of years, and I have failed miserably. that we would have off-season podcasts and we would hear from other individuals and do some other work. I can tell you this much. It's already in the works. Our next podcast, which will come out in a few weeks, there's going to be some time. I got to switch to Major League Baseball work that I do. Opening day is 10 days away, unfortunately. There's a lot of work I need to do to focus on that, plus some other spring sports. So we're not going to get one out in the immediate future, but sometime in April, we'll get this thing rolling. We're going to have Bob Quillman and Ryan, Pat Coleman, Ryan Scott, Gordon Mann, maybe others, and we're going to look back on the year of Division III basketball. But then we're also going to hear from some coaches that we got a chance to interview while we were in Fort Wayne. We'll also reach out to a handful of women's coaches to do the same and just kind of book a bunch of interviews. I'm in the process for some other cool segments that we're going to put together. We also will dive into some of the topics in Division III. Got some options in the way on that. So our goal will be to put out a podcast every few weeks, if at all possible. It'll be audio only. We're not going to do this full production. I got to rejigger everything here to focus on Major League Baseball. Believe it or not, my entire production setup kind of takes on a different look when it gets to baseball season. So we'll just focus on audio only. It's also easy to produce and get those shows out the door. So we will be doing that, and all your donations help us achieve that. We also have some bigger goals that we're going to start talking to some people about. Looking forward to our 23rd season of Hoopsville coming up in November of next year, or this year, 2024, of next season. So thank you all for tuning in to what has been a terrific season so far. We certainly talked about a lot on this show and did some really cool things. It's the announcement of the top 16 seeds returns. That was a lot of fun for us. We look forward to doing that again in the future, and so much more. So every show we did from the start of January or November until now, despite some real challenges we had in November with our technical, it put together 28 episodes of this show. We've done more in some years. We've certainly done less as well, but 28 was the sweet number this year, and we'll look forward to putting some podcasts together in the off season and get geared up because, believe it or not, around the corner it is coming. We will be looking at yet another Division III basketball season in no time flat. Reminder, the top 25 on the men's side is out. Trine is our unanimous number one, with Hampden-Sydney 2, Guilford 3, Trinity, Connecticut 4, Platteville 5 to round out your top 5. The women's one's not out just yet. It'll be tweeted out as soon as we get it. Look forward to seeing who will be in the top 25, other than NYU being most likely, I can't imagine otherwise, unanimous number one pick. And with that, we sign off. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the show as much as we enjoyed putting it together. Thank you to my family for their understanding and patience as we did this show. And we look forward to catching you in the off season with our podcasts and seeing you back here in November for the year into the next year of basketball in Division III. For all those who have supported us through donations or been a guest on this program, or have simply helped us behind the scenes like so many sports information, athletic communication staffs, thank you very much for helping make our 22nd season a success here. Is it 22nd? 21st? No, 21st season. I rushed the gate there. Our 21st season, such a success once again. Thank you to all those at D3Hoops.com, Pat Coleman, Ryan Scott, Gordon Mann, Riley Zayas, and all those who came on who are experts and pundits, including Bob Quillman and let's see if I get them all. Both Matt and Zach Snyder coming on the show. Mike Rainiak came on the show at one point. I know that. I know we tried to get Ryan Winnable and Akiva Poppers on. We just couldn't get our schedules to mesh up with what we were trying to accomplish. I feel like I'm missing somebody who may have come on to be an expert. But all of our guests, coaches and student athletes and all the like, thank you for joining us as well this season. By the way, we've gotten a bunch of jerseys. We know there's more coming. One of them was put on my table at the Final Four. So we're going to fix up the backdrop. We're going to get more jerseys put up. We're going to start rotating more. And a camera angle we've only been playing with, mainly because it's an absolute mess in the studio, is this one. We'll start utilizing this kind of look a little bit more so you can see more and more of the backdrop of this studio and showcase more and more of the jerseys that we have on display. We could easily put so many more here and fill this space. So we're going to play around with the studio a little bit, see if we can showcase everything that we have, including a incredible clock that we received from the NABC this week. You may have seen that D3Hoops.com was honored with the Cliff Wells Award by the National Association of Basketball Coaches. That was officially given to us this week in Fort Wayne. And I have the duties of having that clock for the first year. I think we're going to try and maybe pass it around to everybody every year. I'm not sure. Maybe that's the plan. But we will find a place for it somewhere here, somewhere back here, maybe somewhere over here. We'll find a place for it on the set and use that as well. But if you have something to send us in the off season to get put up on this wall or somewhere in the background, it can be a jersey, it can be paraphernalia. I mean, heck, got all these bobbleheads, and we got trophies, and we got hats, and we got baseballs and basketballs and footballs and all kinds of things. Paraphernalia that you want to send us, or jerseys, whatever, contact me. I will get you our address, and we will find a place in our studio. It won't be this messy next year, I promise. These are championship trophy chairs, by the way. Again, we're going to clean this all up, get this studio looking a little different, maybe go with this angle a little bit more during the show in the future so we can really showcase Division III. Thanks again, everybody. It's been a wonderful season. Look forward to the podcast coming up. Congratulations to Trine and NYU women, Trine men NYU women's basketball. Congratulations to all the All-America honorees and All-Region honorees. Congratulations to our Players of the Year. NYU swept that category, by the way. Friedman on the men's side, Bruns on the women's side. Congratulations to our Coaches of the Year, Brooks Miller for the men, and Lynn Hersey, oh, Lord, I'm having a night, for Smith. And our Rookies of the Year, actually, believe it or not, I can't remember our Rookies of the Year. Bear with me, because my brain has just kind of gone sideways on that. Lexi Harris, right, the center at Wash U on the women's side, and Christian Green, the forward at Trinity, Texas. Congratulations to all of you on your accomplishments. But all those who didn't get those, congratulations to you too, because you played Division III basketball this season. It was a tremendous year in both men's and women's basketball. Certainly worth it, certainly fun. We look forward to doing it all again next year. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Hope you enjoyed Hoopsville. And we look forward to catching up with you during the offseason and seeing you back here in November. If you want to talk Division III basketball, you've got to listen to Hoopsville. Thanks to our partners at D3Hoops.com, Sport Tours International, and the National Association of Basketball Coaches. If you'd like to be a partner, advertiser, or sponsor of this program, contact me in the offseason. We'll get to work on that project. Take care, everybody. Enjoy the offseason.